G'day tubers, how are we people? Hope you are all well. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all to these videos. Let's get stuck into part 2 of this for the Little Wisconsin. As I said, we were going to do a full restoration, but the prices have just got out of control on this. So we're just going to do a clean up and put it back together and see if she'll go.
Can't see any identifying marks on that gear. I have swapped that out for another gear, which is on that red motor, the other AENLD. The only mark is that one there on that tooth, and I think that's the timing mark. Anyway, we'll pull it down and we'll have to put a new end on it and see what happens. Well, let's see, side cover off, guys. This is how the gasket was. Do you get the feeling that this might have been pulled apart before? Yeah, I don't think that was sitting quite right somehow. Anyway, we'll look into that. This is interesting. Don't know what they've done there. Doesn't look like a factory thing, but you never know. But all needs a damn good clean up anyway. It's all, see, that's been taped up. That's probably broken. Bit of silicone there. Yeah, you sometimes wonder why they let people loose at these things, you know what I mean? You can see they've damaged it and what have you, but anyway, we'll see if we can fix it up, make it nice. Just undid that nut, guys, and that fell off. And lo and behold, on the other side, it's the model tag, which would have gone on that side, right where all that elastic is. So someone's taken that bolt and put it in that side, but it was on that side originally. Why? I don't know. No idea what that is, guys. Something, I can't even read what it's, something England, can't really read that. Lucas England, maybe, can't read. I don't even know if it's a capacitor or what. Have a look at it. I couldn't even tell you what it does. But anyway, we'll put it back, undo those two, and that breaker plate, I've just loosened them, should come out. We can pull the coil, all that sort of thing, clean it all up, check it all out. Well, these magnetos fall apart, guys. The housings are in the part soaking a bit, and then we'll have to give them a sandblast to get the paint off and everything. All the bearings and that look alright. Yeah, we'll just sort of clean it all up and tidy it up. There's, nothing appears to be wrong. The impulse mechanism all looks alright. Just took the gear off. You can see there's that little dot, and that marries up with that mark on the tooth. So yeah, that's a timing mark, which will be handy to know. Of course, you can put that on 180 degrees out, which I've been known to do before. The coil's had a repair, well, another lead put on it, so don't know where I can get these ends. They're not that easy to find. Because if I could find them, I'd put a new one on, a new bit of wire. But anyway, we'll yeah, we'll see what we can do. But clean that up. That's about it. Tidying up the SR Magneto, guys. Yeah, we give him a good clean sandblast, all that sort of thing. I think we'll just go with the sandblasted look. Cleaned up a lot of the parts. Yeah, so on and so on. Just tidied up that wiring a bit. Got a few other bits and pieces. I've got the back of that just in etch primer at the moment. It goes against my grain, but I'm going to paint the back of it. I had a hell of a job getting yellow paint off this. So I'm not big on painting these parts, but sometimes it'll look better with a bit of paint. So that's the way we'll go. But we'll start a bit of reassembly and yeah, just, slowly put it back together and see what we come up with. You coil just drops in, guys. If you can't remember how it went, sorry, the sun's bloody right in the bad spot. You can see the little witness marks where these grub screws screwed down into it. So that's going to be a reference. I mean, it'll only go one way. Looking at the pickup for the high tension lead, it's not going to go that way. You can't get at it. So sheer logic will tell you she's got to go that way. And yeah, just screw your little set screws in through the 2 holes in the top that you cleaned out properly. And yeah, I think they advise to, when they're screwed in, put a bit of Loctite or silicone in the top or something like that just to seal them in. Next to go in is your magnet thing, whatever the commutator, actuator, whatever they bloody, I never know what they call these things, but anyway, the round thing with the bearings on it and the magnet. That's in. Next to go in is that breaker plate. Obviously for that bearing you want to be putting a bit of grease in there. They probably recommend a light oil, but we'll be using grease. Breaker plates in, guys. Just make sure you're rotating, your shaft's rotating nicely, and you should be pretty right. Condensers in, guys. And that thing. Now, I don't know what that is, but I'm tipping because this went into a Cranville excavator. It's an Australian built thing, back in the, I think, 50s, 60s, whatever. I'm tipping this was a modification, and I'm guessing, it's only a guess, I could be wrong, I'm thinking it's some sort of, picks up a ignition impulse or a coil impulse and sends a signal to a tacho. Now, I could be wrong, but because the wiring's been transferred from that side to that side, that's the blind side, you can't see that when that's assembled on the motor. Because that's been changed, because that's been added, I'm tipping it's a factory modification. And as I say, I'm guessing it's something to do with an impulse. It may sense a pulse from the condenser or capacitor. I don't know. Points are in. 15 thou. Don't know if that's right or not, but it's a pretty average standard sort of setting. We'll go with that. Now, I know that ID tag's upside down. It's meant to go on the other side. If I put it on this side, yeah, it'll fit in with that moulding, but it'll be backwards and you won't be able to read it. So I've put it in upside down anyway. If it offends anyone, then bad luck. One magneto, guys. Yeah, as I said, I've painted the back, cleaned it up. We're going to bung it in the vise now, and we're going to put the drill on it and see if we've got a spark. Good spark, guys. Well, the block's all cleaned up, guys. Lapped in the valves. Came up really nice. The seats are really good. Just faced off all the gasket areas. Ran all the threads. You've seen that repair. That's got to be trimmed off a little bit more. I'll do that a bit later. Stripped off most of the paint. She's got to have a lick of paint. I don't know what colour yet. But all cleaned up all right. As I say, ran all the threads, all the gasket faces are done. She's been honed. Yeah, it's getting there. It's coming up. It's, you know, I had big plans for it, but I've knocked all them on the head. So we're just going to sort of, you know, do our normal clean up and get it going. But yeah, as I say, I wanted to, yeah, do a complete rebuild and a full restoration, but this will be just a fix-up. Well, tubers, we've gone a little bit different this time. Just starting to do a little bit of work on the orange Wisconsin here. Chevy orange this is, for a Ford man. It's a bit strange, but I'm sick of doing black all the time. I thought something a bit brighter, so I'm just doing detailing a few nuts and bolts and stuff. There, the bolts for the governor. One in there for the little valve cover. No, but just something a bit different. Well, we're starting to get there with this thing. It's been doing a bit of bloody Bit of powder coating there on those tank brackets. As I mentioned, she's going to be Chevy orange. That's the housing for the hydraulic pump. I'm going to put that back on, but not the pump because I've got no oil running to the pump until I work out what I'm going to power. Give the air intake a bit of a sandblast. It'll all match the carby and all that. There's that top housing for the cylinder head. Don't know what I do wrong with paint. I mean, it's, you know, it's, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we'll battle on. Governor arms done. That's all done, yeah, basically. Block's done, as you know. I'm just starting on the tank and the blower housing. I've just done a little bit of panel beating here, but as you can see, this is all cracked right through. What we're going to try and do is, this was all bent down too. What I'm going to try and do is run a bit of MIG weld and then grind it back and just get it as nice. Someone's had a go at it there, you can see. Try and get it as nice as I can. I mean, it's, you know, how much time do you spend on it? It's, yeah, you know. So we'll do what we can. So we're just doing a bit of panel beating. That's got to have filler in it, obviously. I don't know how to get those dents out. The rest of it's not too bad. Should come up all right. And, but yeah, that'll need a bit of filler in there and there. As I say, I don't know how to get in to knock the dents out from the inside, but I suppose that's what body filler's for. Well, that's the patch up done, guys. I've sort of got it back. There's a bit of a curve there. I've sort of got it back. Yeah, we'll do a bit more, but they'll fix the cracks. It'll have to have a bit of body filler, of course, to make it neat, but I think we've addressed the cracks, so that's the main thing. Doing a bit of assembly, guys. Just bung the valves in. As you can see there, we've got to put the followers in, the cam, so on and so on, check some clearances. I didn't show you how to put them in. People, you've seen them so many times. How many times do you want to see the same thing? How many times do you want to hear the same thing? Very straightforward. So, yeah, you shouldn't have any dramas if you've got the right tool, which, of course, is the fantastic. I think they're a Briggs & Stratton special tool. I don't know, but these are the best things since sliced bread, and they make valve spring installation childishly simple. Cams in, guys. Remember to put the followers in. Yeah, just do your clearances. Pretty straightforward. When you do your clearances, just make sure your lobes, see there and there, are just, you know, basically on the other side of the follower. That way you know you're on the bottom of the cam. No good trying to adjust them when it's up there because your clearances will be all wrong. So, yeah, we'll bung the governor in and go from there. It's the governor on and in, guys. Very straightforward. Carby linkage. The revs are variable via that. We'll settle that once, of course, she's going. But, yeah, just, you know, moving that changes the tension on the spring. That's probably flat out. Yeah, and that's probably, you know, that's really easy. So, the tipping will be in the middle there somewhere. Same old thing, guys, with most of those crankshafts. If you look at the cam gear and the crank gear, there's 3 dots, 2 of them on the cam, 1 on the crank. The single dot goes in between the 2, and that is timed correctly. That's a crankshaft in, guys. Flanges are on, so on and so on. Your end float is adjusted by these gaskets. Don't ask me what it is, I don't know. It's probably a few thou or something. Yeah, so put your flanges on, so on and so on. It's rotating fine, it's firm, but it's not tight. Now, the reason it's firm is these seals, I put 2 new crankshaft seals in. They're slightly small on the internal measurement, so they're binding a little bit. Now, the moment it's running, they'll quickly flog out anyway, but plenty of lube on them, and They'll be right. It is just a little tight, but a bit of use and that will free up no problem. Time to put the piston in. Oil pumps in, guys. Just make sure it's clean and working before you put it in, obviously. There's 3 little holes, that's one of them. There's a couple around the other side. The oil squirts out of them. All I did was immerse it in water, just so you cover that pickup, that's the pickup there, and pump it by hand, and it squirted water out of those holes. So if it squirted water, it's going to do the same with oil. I've primed it all up, so she should be ready to rock and roll. Sumps on, guys. Start all your bolts just loosely by hand. Start them all first, that way you know your gasket's lined up. And then pull them down evenly. You don't have to don't put one in and then lean on it. You're just going to bend up the bloody housing. So just put them in and just nip them, you know, opposites or circular, and just pull them down slowly and evenly. You won't have any leaks, provided the surfaces were clean. It will not leak. Time to bung the cylinder head on, guys. Obviously make sure all your surfaces are clean. I just usually put a bit extra oil on the piston, just for that first start. Same thing, make sure your surfaces are clean. Run the straight edge over them. If exaggerated, if you can see daylight through the straight edge, then you're going to have a problem. So these have got to be flat. I've done all that already. I'm reusing the old gasket. It's quite serviceable. It's not going in the Formula 1 or anything like that. As I say, these engines, it'll start up, I'll run it for 10 minutes and then it won't run for another 12 months. They're just a hobby. And as I say, I'm trying to keep the costs as low as possible on these. I'm just trying to show you what you can do without spending big bucks. Same old story. Put the cylinder head on, just pull the bolts down nice and evenly to the manufacturer's recommended tension. As I say, we're only sealing compression here. There's no oil galleries or water galleries. So I know compression's pretty high and combustion pressures are high, but I think we'll get away with it. I'd be more worried about the combustion pressure going through into a water jacket or something like that. Hey, worst come to worst, if it does leak, it's easy to change. So yeah, let's go ahead. Starting to look like an engine, guys. Yeah, definitely getting there. Well, that carby went on beautifully with that busted manifold, guys. Pulled up really nice and tight. Yeah, heap of sealer on the gasket because, you know, the two surfaces weren't 100% flat. So, provided it doesn't suck any air, we're going to be okay, I think. Less vibration could break it, but it's going to be held by the air cleaner snorkel there as well. So, should be all right. Yeah, magneto's in, guys, and hopefully timed. The flange for the hydraulic pump's on. Yeah, as I say, I do want to power something. Yeah, getting spark at the correct time, hopefully. So, as the top dead centre mark comes around, the magneto, the impulse action goes. So, I'm tipping we should be timed. I've also made the link for the governor. Now, that's a threaded rod in there. I can't replicate that thread, so what I've done is I've got a piece of rod and bent it. You can see up in there, I've just put a couple of plastic ties really tight, and they seem to be gripping okay, and yeah, I'll keep my eye on it, but the governor should be all right. Yeah, it's looking like an engine. Well, guys, we have an exhaust. Just got some fittings from Reese Plumbing there. Plumbed it in, bit of welding under there, and that's the muffler that come off it. Bit big and ugly and bulky, but I'm not spending bloody 20 and 30 bucks on a muffler. That'll do. It'll be fine. Well, guys, we have an exhaust. Just got some fittings from Reese Plumbing there. Plumbed it in, bit of welding under there, and that's the muffler that come off it. Bit big and ugly and bulky, but I'm not spending bloody 20 and 30 bucks on a muffler. That'll do. It'll be fine. Not the prettiest repair, guys, but it's very temporary. The breather. What happens is it comes out of the crankcase and via a hard line, which is that one, goes through to a plug on that side of the, or to an a port on that intake. This was so badly mangled that I've just cut it off, and I haven't got the bits to repair it properly, so I'll have to get some tube nuts and some hard line and bend it and run it properly. In the meantime, it's just going straight to the atmosphere, so if it looks a bit dodgy, that's why, but it'll work. Well, that all those housings are back on, blower housings and that. Air cleaner snorkels on and fitted up tight. Don't need that stupid bit of wire that they had. Tank brackets on, just about to put the tank on. Name tags on, got to do the flywheel. We're just about there. We might even have this going today. Well, tank's on. All that's on, except for the flywheel. I can't put that on because I have to run the fuel line from the carby through the blower housing and out to the other side to the tank. With the flywheel on, I'll never get the bloody hose through, and I haven't got enough hose, so it'll be going tomorrow.
Get in the guts, Barry.
Well, guys, that's it for the Wisconsin AENLD fix-up. It's not a restoration, as I said. It's merely getting going what's already there. Very little money spent, a couple of crankshaft seals and a few tins of paint. Be lucky if the whole thing cost me $30, really. It's all about labour and time. It does run. It runs all right. It's got a bit of a piston slap or conrod knock, or both. Which is probably half the reason why it was retired. But yeah, she's a goer, and that's all it has to do. It's not going back to power or anything. It's purely a bit of fun. And that's what these are all about, is just a bit of fun. It doesn't matter how good or bad they are, as long as you have fun doing it. The only person you have to answer to on these is yourself. Anyway, people, take care. Talk to you soon. See ya.